Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you also to Ranking Member Cantwell and to my chairman of the subcommittee, Senator Moran, who's been a joy to work with as a partner on this issue. Chair Homendy, I want to thank you and the entire team at the NTSB for carrying out your mission without fear or favor to independently investigate the DCA mid-air collision. You provided FAA, DoD, Congress, and most importantly, the families of the victims of Flight 5342 clear answers explaining how this deadly crash happened. And you've given us a framework to ensure such utterly preventable tragedies never happen again. Many of the NTSB's findings from the DCA mid-air collision point to issues that have persisted for years. The urgent need to address the air traffic controller shortage, the need for advanced safety technology, and the unacceptable lack of coordinated communications between the FAA and the DoD. I've repeatedly sounded the alarm on these issues, and I haven't been the only one. The NTSB found that in prior years, rank-and-file controllers working in the DCA tower sought spacing of at least 4 miles in trail, while Potomac TRACON controllers asked for a decrease in DCA's dangerous airport arrival rate. Yet FAA management failed to act on the warnings being raised by an understaffed and overworked controller workforce that was clearly struggling to manage the busiest, most congested runway in the United States. FAA's failure in the face of blaring alarm bells screaming out that it was a matter of when, not if, one of the near misses at DCA would become a deadly tragedy is, unfortunately, emblematic of a chronic crisis that's plagued FAA for years under multiple administrations, and an unacceptable culture of complacency. Chair Homendy, 826 days ago, you sat in that very chair in this very room to testify alongside FAA at a hearing I convened on addressing close calls to improve aviation safety. That day, your message could not have been clearer as you warned everyone, and I'm quoting you, "The concerning uptick in such incidents is a clear warning sign that the U.S. aviation system is sharply strained. We cannot wait until a fatal accident forces action. We must act before there is a tragedy." And your message was embraced by many in this chamber in a bipartisan way. As I recall, I opened that hearing by stating that our nation is experiencing an aviation safety crisis. Near misses are happening way too frequently, and I refuse to be complacent in waiting to act until the next runway incursion becomes a fatal collision. 826 days ago, we had that exchange. That recognition is why I fought so hard to protect the 1,500-hour rule and to stop Congress from adding more flights to DCA. Unfortunately, on that latter fight, I and the members of Virginia and Maryland delegations were soundly defeated. And as the NTSB report found, the intense traffic demand in the region forced Potomac TRACON to routinely reduce the trail spacing between aircraft, which increased the workload on DCA air traffic controllers. Tragically, the one audience that refused to hear these messages was the one entity with the authority to act, the FAA. And it seems as if the FAA's complacency has only hardened over time, regardless of which political party controls the White House. Again, this is a bipartisan failure. The NTSB report showed that the FAA failed to conduct annual reviews of helicopter routes in the DCA airspace leading up to the DCA mid-air collision, reviews that would have shown the helicopter route was too close to an approach runway. A review of helicopter routes would have also potentially prevented some of the 15,000 close calls between airplanes and helicopters in the DCA airspace that took place between October of 2021 and December of 2024. We have long known about the mounting strain on air traffic controllers. That is why I will continue to reiterate that any investment in our ATC system must be informed by and prioritize the most important asset of the ATC system, its people. The FAA needs to improve how it reviews relevant safety data on hotspots, how critical feedback from frontline controllers is funneled to decision makers, and most importantly, how to ensure enough rested, well-trained employees are at work every day with all the tools that they need. The House must also act to pass the Rotor Act so we can codify many of the NTSB's recommendations. But even if that happens, there is more work to do. Because the bottom line is that any system that repeatedly forces pilots to take emergency evasive actions to save lives is a broken system. We need to prevent the conditions that will lead to even a near miss. So I thank you again, Chairwoman Hamady. You have been a wonderful resource to this committee. I also thank the leadership of the committee, the chairman, the ranking member, and again, my partner on the subcommittee, Chairman Moran. Thank you. I yield back, Mr. Chairman.